Hello, it's Deb Morgan here, the Real Relationships Expert. And before I start, please let me know that you can see me, that you can hear me. I've had some issues with StreamYard at the moment, so I'm hoping that this is all working. And if you are with me, I'm going live across all of my social media platforms right now and on my podcast. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for listening. If you're listening in on replay, please get in touch, leave a comment, send a message via the podcast. Let me know where you're listening. Let me know that you can hear me, that you can see me if you're watching me on visual social media. As I said, my name is Deb Morgan. I'm the Real Relationships Expert, and I want to talk to you today about influence. And I have very, very real experience of influence. Just yesterday. Now, if I'm recording this on the 22nd of September, and on the 21st of September 2021, I put out a Facebook post which I didn't think would get much attention, if I'm honest. And I was sharing how yesterday had been my 30 years anniversary of my marriage to my first husband, who beat me up for the first time on my wedding night. I got over 180 likes, comments, reactions on that one post, whereas I thought I might get one or two. And even today, I've had more comments, more messages, even a conversation with somebody who I met as a result of something else I was doing. And this is why I want to talk about influence, because we have no idea who is watching us, who is listening to us, who is reading what we're putting out there on social media. And if we get involved on social media, we kind of accept that. And it's a given. And we know that some people will like what we say and do, others won't. And that's absolutely fine. It's part and parcel of being out there on social media. But what happens when the influences are closer to home? When what you're saying, what you're doing, what you are writing, what you are reading is being used to influence the people around you and your children. So often in the work I do, I speak with couples and with individuals who don't understand why there are issues in their relationship, who don't understand why they have a bad relationship with their children, who don't understand why the kids are playing up. And when we strip it all back after a coaching session, or maybe several coaching sessions, we start to recognize that the language that is being used within the relationship between the couple is influencing the children, that the actions the children are witnessing is influencing them. And this has an impact on how our children go on to have future relationships. Now, my marriages, 2 abusive marriages and a 3rd abusive relationship, whilst I hold those partners, those husbands responsible for their actions, I truly believe they were acting in a relationship in the only way that they knew, in the way that they believed they should act. I'm going to use the example of my first husband because obviously I've shared more on that one. And he became physically abusive on our wedding night. Up until that point, we had dated for 5-6 years, and he had treated me like an absolute princess. I had no reason to believe he was going to beat me up. Yet, age, experience, education, hindsight is a marvelous tool. And when I look back, I can see that it was blatantly obvious that our marriage was going to become a physically abusive relationship. Because in all the time I had been dating him, his parents had been separated, yet his mum had kept taking his dad back. And when I'd asked why they'd separated, it was because his dad used to beat his mum up. Now, again, I'm sure if we went back through generations, there would be history of physically abusive relationships in his dad's background as well. But It stands to reason, therefore, that my first husband believed that when you marry somebody, that's how you treat them. And he actually couldn't understand why his mum wouldn't take his dad back. Whereas I understood it completely. But I didn't have enough knowledge, enough education, enough experience to recognize that my first husband's idea of what it was to be in a marriage, to be in a relationship, was that when you are married, you beat your wife. And let's not forget, it's not that long ago that it was actually legal to beat your wife. So when we look at how we are influencing future generations, we have to really look close to home. We spend too much time saying the government has to take responsibility, schools have to take responsibility, everyone else has to take responsibility. But we have to take responsibility for our own actions and for the language we are using. And thank you. I can see that there is somebody watching here. You've sent a comment. I can't see who you are. If you can give StreamYard permission to access your profile, that would be fantastic. But when we are in a relationship, every little thing we say and we do is influencing people around us. It's showing, telling the people around us how we expect to be treated and how we allow ourselves to be treated. Now, this is something I do a lot of work on when I'm working with my clients in my coaching sessions, but we seem to forget it as we go about our lives. And one of the biggest issues I have is perhaps when you're in a supermarket and you hear parents and children effing and blinding at each other, screaming across the aisles. And my heart sinks. Because if we are shouting at our children, if we are using offensive language, if we are being derogatory towards them, even if it is in jest, even if, well, that's the way we are in our family, it has an impact on their future because they take that with them into their future relationships, and it impacts their children and their grandchildren. So by being aware of the language we use at home, by the language we use with our spouse and our partner, by the actions that we demonstrate in our home, we are demonstrating to our children how to have relationships. And it is entirely within our power and within our control to show our children how they can have ultra powerful, strong, healthy and relationships, strong, healthy and robust relationships, just as it is within our power and our control to show them how it is to have difficult relationships, abusive relationships, relationships that don't serve us or lift us up. We never, ever know the impact of the words we say, the actions we take, and the actions we use. But we only have to watch the future generations to see the influence of what we're saying and what we're doing in a given moment play out in the future. I'd love to know your thoughts and your comments on whether you agree with what I'm saying, whether you think it's a whole load of baloney, whether you think I'm missing the point. Let me know, leave comments below, leave comments wherever you can, in the chat, in the DM, message me on the podcast. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll be back with you again very, very soon. Take care.